Buildy here. I've been I've had some time to kind of browse through the internets and see what all's going on. Pretty interesting. Vis-a-vis Russia invading Ukraine. There's lots of stuff on there. There's lots of news sites I've never seen before. I'm always combing through looking for stuff. It's something you got to realize. All these news sites, and they're flashy, they're professional, they got headers, they're like real news sites, and you've never heard of them before, you've never seen them before. They pop up, and they're telling you what's what, and they're regurgitating CIA NATO talking points that are demonstratively false. It's a big propaganda machine. It's just ridiculous. My friend John Mark Dugan, I'll put a link down here, posted a great look at just one aspect of that in the I guess it was a White House press conference where Matt Lee got to grill the Goomba that they had up there, regurgitating their talking points. And it's comical if you can follow logic. I mean, if you're not just, really stupid, you can see the guy's lying, and he can't go anywhere. He can't tell the truth. I don't envy people like that at all. How would you like to spend your life in a career like that, having to cover up the truth and keep lies out there, and it just becomes more and more obvious. But maybe they don't have a clue. I don't understand you could even function like that. Sad. Matt Lee is a national treasure. He's been doing this for a long time. He was doing it back during M17 and the serious stuff. Yeah. He's good. The only good journalist I know of. You get some good stuff from people, every once in a while on something like Fox News, but they're all they're just saying what they've been told. They're actors. They're presenters. I don't think they even have their own opinions. I've got into it. Some of these people that are famous now, and they're doing really good things. They're giving good information. But years ago, they weren't, and they never officially changed their orientation or their attitude. I've had people that, not to name names, but Tucker Carlson, yeah, he's pretty good now. I'm pleased with what he's doing, but still, there's something that's just quite not right about it. Years ago, when Pussy Riot was doing their thing, and they went into a church in Moscow and started desecrating up on the altar and denigrating Putin on the altar, that's a really good place to do that, bringing their politics in. That's an outfit. There's a guy in New York that runs that. It's an activist outfit. They get Soros money to do that stuff. It's ridiculous. And Tucker was squawking and clutching his pearls about Putin put them in prison for 2 years and ruined those poor young girls' lives. Well, this is on a blog, so he's typing all capital, or his agents are. He might have had somebody doing it for him, but he just kept screeching about, he put him away for 2 years, the dictator put him in jail. I pointed out that a jury put them in jail. They have the same system as the U.S. They were arrested by police for doing something illegal, violating the public decency and trespassing, disorderly conduct. You can get that charge against you in the U.S. real easy. You don't have to go in and desecrate a church. Yeah, they got arrested. They were charged by a prosecutor. They went to trial by a jury, if I remember correctly. It was either jury or judge, their choice. And they were sentenced. Putin didn't have a freaking thing to do with it. But these idiots want to say, Putin, the dictator, put him in jail. Really? If I go out and drive 120 miles an hour through a residential district and I get arrested and sentenced to jail, can I say Biden put me in jail because he's a dictator? It's stupid. But Americans buy into this stuff. I'm looking at all these new websites and all these plucky little Ukrainian girls that are doing journalism now. And they're all kind of attractive, some of them. but they're just so stilted. And I know I've been here a long time. I remember when USAID was here and they had these big posters plastered all over where, hey, you want to be a journalist? Oh, come to us and we'll train you. USAID is a CIA front. Anybody knows that. It's what they do. We'll train you to be a journalist. So what do you think that inculates? And they're interviewing the man in the street in Odessa and Kiev and asking what they think about it. And seems pretty balanced because they do interview some people that say, yeah, it's all crock. One guy even went as far as to say it's to cover up the corruption in Ukraine, which has an element of, it is true, but it's not all of it. And I'm surprised they found somebody to say that. Kudos to that guy, because the SBU and the Nazis are all over Ukraine, and they look for people like that when they go in the media. And they even have a website. This is not my conjecture. I mean, you can go to the doxing website that the Ukrainian government has, where they tell you they'll find somebody that said something they don't like in the media, and they'll put their name and address on there. And of course, radical ultras and Nazis can look them up and convince them they need to keep their mouth shut and make an example out of them. That happens. That's not talked about in the U.S. media, is it? Russians don't have anything like that. Ukrainians do, since the U.S. staged coup. Might want to think about that one. I made some notes here, some of this crap that I'm looking at. Oh, my lighting's getting weird again. But we're not worried about lighting, okay? You can hear me, right? This is important stuff. Some of the stuff's just comical. There's a official looking news site that says Russia is 70% ready to invade Ukraine right now. Really? How do they come with that? How's that happen? How do they come up with that? And they're talking about them having a corridor through Belarus where they can circle around through Belarus. They're having exercises, the Belarus military exercises. U.S. does it all the time. Back a few years ago, they had one. I got the Black Sea. Well, it's actually kind of this way, but back around the corner, NATO and Ukraine had exercises in the mouth of the Dnieper River. That's okay, though. Yeah. The sky was full of drones and aircraft and stuff here where they were watching them. They do this stuff all the time. But Russia's right on the border with Ukraine. That means they're going to invade them, right? You know there's a big Marine base down in, I think it's San Diego. Isn't that right on the border with Mexico? This is just ludicrous. This is for really low information people to go into hysterics and want to send their sons and daughters to go fight the Ruskies. It's just so ludicrous. It's stupid. It's embarrassing. But let's just want to go through this one bit at a time. All these CIA talk. Okay, I shouldn't call them CIA talking points. They're State Department talking points. They come from committee meetings with the military-industrial complex or defense contractors and retired generals that are lobbying for them. It's a system. They want to sell weapons. And they want people to use weapons on each other so they can sell more. Why do you think they bombed the living dog crap out of Cambodia back in the 60s? I mean, they dropped a bomb on every square meter. They dropped more bombs on Cambodia. More bombs were dropped on Cambodia than were in the entire Pacific theater by all sides. You combine the Americans, the British, and the Japanese, all players, all the bombs they dropped in the Pacific theater during the entirety of World War II. Well, they topped that on little Cambodia. What did they do? What objective did that accomplish? I can't find one. Maybe somebody knows. And it kind of made a little chaos in an area. For the drug trade, who runs that. They were playing both sides. They had the fights in Cambodia with Pol Pot and Nordom Sehuk, who was the monarchical leader of Cambodia. Pol Pot was the communist revolutionary, and the CIA was backing both of them up. Yeah. But what about Cambodia? Who cares? Well, they got rid of all that old World War II ordnance. And, this stuff does expire, and it gets kind of It's kind of wobbly if you keep it around too long. You really don't want to do that. It gets unstable. And they had to get new stuff to replace it with, and I would think they could just dispose of it somehow and then use it, but they could use it for training. But, I think they like to really see it go off. They're that much of a psychopaths. And if they use it for something, maybe the paperwork's different where they can replace it. And cha-ching! All these Congress critters and generals that got cushy job at defense contracting places and lobby Congress and all. It's a machine and it's still going. It's much more complex now. I was a part of it. I was a little bottom feeder part of it, but I was still a part of it. And like I said, I'm pretty good at observing things and recognizing patterns and putting things together. That's what it is. And that's part of what this is. They want to keep that weapons carousel going. And your tax money's paying for most of it. These people aren't paying for weapons. The Ukrainians are paying for all the stuff you're sending to them. You're paying for it. And all the talking points. Let me look at some of this stuff here. They're right on the border. They're ready to attack. They're 70% ready to attack. And okay, well, like the thing my friend John Mark Dugan examined with, and Matt Lee was so good at exposing. What they're doing now is they're saying the Russians are making movies with crisis actors, and they're going to pretend there was a provocation so they can evade. Okay, yeah, okay. There's no evidence. They offered no evidence of it. They're just coming out and saying these things. And if you ask them for proof, they say them saying it is proof. I mean, you need to look at that video. That's what they're doing. They've been doing it for a long time. But you got to think, what does this mean? What does this inculate? What's happening? Can we predict anything from this? Why would they do that? They say Russia is making fake footage of atrocities so they can have an excuse to invade Ukraine. Well, if you're a strategic thinker and you're a psychopath and you have control of the U.S. side of the situation, what would you do to go along with that? Well, you would stage a bloody, nasty massacre to get Russia to attack. And then when they did, you'd say, we told you they're faking it. It's not real. It didn't really happen. This is all fake. And they're attacking for no reason. They did this. That'd be the next step. That's what they're going to do. Unless it's thwarted by intelligence agencies or something else. I mean, that would be the logical next step. That's something to think about. Don't buy any of this shit. They're going to show a horrible, bloody attack and say it was a Russian invention. It didn't really happen. And then they're going to show bloody footage, which is probably going to be exaggerated of the Russians coming in and stamping out Nazis that did the attack. If they do, they might not even do it. They're playing this pretty good, being very patient. It's like the hysteria that you hear that Iran is always wanting to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. And Hezbollah is a terrorist organization, and they're going to wipe off our ally Israel off the face of the earth. Israel's bombing everybody that they can, any chance they get. They were bombing Iranian forces and Hezbollah forces in Syria, and those guys were fighting ISIS. Hezbollah is a political organization that had to arm itself in order to survive, and I think I've talked about them before, but I said the wrong country. I said Libya. It's Lebanon. Israel has an enormous amount of influence and blatant, brutal force influence in Lebanon, and they've invaded them a couple of times, and there's a bunch of Lebanese politicians and positions where they help them and they allow it. Political organization decided to defend themselves against that and defend Lebanon against it, and they had to arm themselves to survive. And they've done very well. They're extremely well armed. It's not a terrorist organization. They're not doing terrorism. If you listen to Hassan Nasrallah, he's a very intelligent man, very well spoken, and what I got some respect for him. He says he's going to do something. He freaking does it. He doesn't make idle threats. He doesn't straddle a saber. Well, some of these guys in Iran do. And some of them, Aberjahadeen or whatever his name was always saying he's going to wipe out Israel. Well, they didn't. And that's a politician. That's not the leader of a military. And they haven't. Iran hasn't attacked anybody besides Iraq in like 300 years. And the Iraq and Iran war was orchestrated by the U.S. Saddam Hussein was put in power by the U.S. originally to do that, and they were given weapons. I've been in Iraq. I've been at Taji at the military junkyard and saw all the Soviet stuff and the United States equipment all mixed together. there's automatic auto-loading howitzers and so what they call those, the self-propelled artillery pieces, and Russian stuff all in the same junkyard, tanks and everything. I've got pictures of it. That Iran-Iraq war was contrived. Iran, the last elected leader of Iran that was, very educated, very Western, very moderate. Well, he was assassinated by the CIA back in the 50s and replaced with the Shah. Then when the Shah went off the reservation, they kept the Ayatollah over there in France for him. Now, I can go on and on and on. This is all, you're being played by everything, but people are triggered by the emotional content of stuff. We gotta send our sons and daughters over there and do something about it. Don't do that. Just don't. It's a trick. It's all a trick. Anyway, where do you get your information? These people that are lying to you, issuing breathless press releases. If you just casually browse the internet, it's going to come up. All these plucky little young girls that are doing journalism in Ukraine, and they're just regurgitating all the CIA talking points. Military exercises. Oh, the Russians are going to go through Belarus. Yeah, well, Russia and Belarus are having military exercises together, just like the U.S. did with in NATO over there, like right across the pond from me. But that wasn't an issue, right? They're twisting all this stuff. And they wouldn't be doing it for no reason. I mean, the best case scenario is they're getting all this hype so they can take big chunks of tax money and they can give them to Ukraine and Poland and Lithuania and Latvia and Estonia and other places that are in absolutely no danger because there's no strategic reason for anything to happen, but they're buying weapons, mostly with your money. You're subsidizing it. Such a deal. And you don't care? As long as they keep manufacturing money and keep the inflation targeted in small areas, it's all going to blow up soon. They can't keep doing that. It's a grab fest. They're grabbing all your money. That's the best case scenario, if that's all it is. I think it's more than that, though. I think they're going to try to pull something and claim Russia made it up and claim it's CGI. It's not real. They really didn't do anything. Really? And you're going to believe it? Are you? Are you going to believe it? I'm trying to stop that. Anyway, I'm going to make a way that you can support me if you like my work and you think I'm providing some sort of valuable function. I don't have any way to do that right now, but I'm putting it together and I'll share links because I'm here with no income and I got a family of 5. I got some things I got to take care of. I have very modest needs though, but I got to get something coming in. So I'm going to set up some kind of way where, there's lots of ways to do it. Well, I'll get back to you on that later. I'm not really going to talk about that right now. I'm just ruminating the possibilities that maybe I should maybe start thinking about that before I run out of money. There's a lot of us doing this. Citizen journalism and spreading the truth because it's our calling. It's a passion. Nobody pays us. They're paying these plucky little people to, do journalism. They're getting grants and they're getting equipment and they're doing that. As long as they stay on narrative, they're doing the talking points. I got to stop doing that. They get paid. They get paid by big corporations that benefit from this. They get paid by governments that have certain geopolitical objectives to do it. They don't pay you to tell the freaking truth. Matter of fact, they'll persecute you. And YouTube will mess with you. I think they're messing with me now. But I'm going to other platforms as well. This is disinformation. It's so nauseating. They're so stupid. I see. Excuse me. That's Facebook, not YouTube. Okay. YouTube's pretty cool, but not really. They take people down for telling the truth all the time. And Facebook, yeah. I see ads all the time. Some idiot is wanting to sell you blueprints or something to make a free energy machine. And they show a picture of an electric motor and a generator hooked together. And you can take free electricity from it. And it just runs itself forever and ever. Really? You got to be pretty stupid to believe that. But they let them put the ads in there and take money from stupid people. That's okay. Don't tell you that's disinformation. Don't report the ads as spam. What's wrong with this ad? Does it offend you? No, it's a scam. Oh, that we don't have a policy against that. But you say something's absolutely true, like even reposting or posting photographs of newspaper headlines that contradict what's happening now, and it's like, this is disinformation. I'm just showing you what the New York Post said. This is disinformation. Yeah, I got strikes, or not strikes, what they call them. I'm on double secret probation on Facebook, so you might not see what I'm doing in there if any of you's on there and miss me. They don't really say. It's information war. But the information we're trying to provide, and I ask you to support us. I'm going to put a little list of links down here of good information that you can get, and people that you can check it out. It's mostly just, you can't even argue with it. Something that happened a long time ago in this war. It's been going on this whole time, since the referendum. They've been bombing and shooting and throwing, self-propelled artillery rounds and mortars and stuff into Donbass nonstop. You don't hear about that, do you? You just hear about the Russian rebels took over Ukraine. Yeah, the place that was broken off of Russia and given to Ukraine by the Soviet Union. Why are the Russians in it? Gee, go figure. Now, I'm going to go over this. I'm going to beat this point again and again and again, because they're making their points. Well, we know Russia invaded Ukraine before when they took over Crimea. We've already addressed that here. They didn't take over Crimea. They've been here since 1780 something, 83, I think. They've always been here. There wasn't an invasion. I'm here! They showed you photographs of soldiers in trucks. I've seen that since I've been here. The first time I came here was 2005. I saw trucks go by with Russian license plates full of soldiers. They have bases here, just like the U.S. has bases all over the place. I could show you pictures of U.S. soldiers in Japan and say, the U.S. is invading and taking over Japan. It's that stupid. It really is that stupid. I can't believe it's working. It's amazing. Anyway. Oh, back to my thing. This little war they've been having underground all the time. They want it to break out and get big and make big money, cha-ching. Mariupol got shelled. This is probably like 2015 or so. They got grad rockets hit them. For those of you who don't know what a grad is Russian for hail. They invented them when they got invaded by the Nazis. They're brilliant. It's a box of like 40 tubes on the back of a 2.5 ton truck. And it has set up where you can aim it, and you can set up the azimuth and everything. You do the math and figure out where you want them to hit. And there's 40 holes in it, and they make rockets like, I guess they're about 9-10 foot long, maybe longer. About that big around. Oh my God, he's Illuminati! Oh yeah, okay, I'm throwing signals, man. Blew my cover, whatever. But they're about, I guess, I don't know, 40 millimeters or so. I don't know that much about them. I just see them at war memorials. And I've seen them at work on footage. Anyway, Mariupol got hit by grads. And they said Russia did it in the Western media. And Ukraine is screaming Russia's shelling Mariupol. Well, some citizen journalists took their cell phone and took a picture, because these things don't all go off, especially if they're old. They've been sitting around a while. Unstable makes them, sometimes they don't go off. I've been, hit with, or I haven't been hit. I've been in a camp that was mortared regularly, or not mortared, but hit with recoilless rifle fire. That's a like 107-inch tube. They would fire a self-propelled projectile, and you'd hear them. This is old stuff that's been sitting around in caves in Afghanistan for years. It's old ordnance anyway, or wouldn't have went there. And it's like, wop, 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 wop. Hear them going off out of the tube, and then you hear yo, yo, and then boom, boom, boom. Okay, like 8 of them left the can and only 3 of them went off. That's pretty regular. So these grads don't always go off either. And if they don't go off, this is a long rocket. It sticks in the ground like, and you can see it sticking there. It's just standing there. And some of them hit around an apartment complex. And the guy took his phone and took pictures of it, and he held the phone on such a way you could see the angle that it's on, and you could see the edge of the building, so you get your coordinates, and you could see the sign on the building to tell where it was, the street sign, building number thus and such on thus and such street. And I looked at this, and you get a Google map, and you could see where the freaking thing came from. It came from Ukraine. They're shelling their own city and saying Russia did it. And it went in the media. There's never any retraction. I could look up this stuff. I doubt if it's on YouTube anymore. They take that stuff down. If somebody's got archives, if somebody's got has mirrored that stuff and archived it and recorded it, and they have some of these great YouTube videos that they took down that were made between like 2014 and 2016 or so, because I wasn't smart enough to do it. I wasn't that tech savvy anyway. I should have copied all that stuff, because I could show it to you now. You can't find it on there. I couldn't when I tried. You can't go back and find it. And Wayback Machine is a good resource, but I'm new at it, and you have to have the URL, I think, and I don't. But you can find ways of getting to the truth. They're showing these grads and saying that they were shot at by Russia. No, the angle was pointing this way. It's impossible. There's no possible way that they can arc back around and go back in like that. Doesn't happen. There were more than one. There were several, and the angle showed. Pretty much you can determine a pyramid-shaped or a wedge-shaped area it had to have come from. It's Ukrainian-controlled territory. In that same era, they tied Claymore-type mine and anti-personnel mines on trees at about eye level at a checkpoint. And when a bus came in, they set them off and killed a bunch of people on a bus, and they said the Russians struck them with rockets. But some citizen journalists went and looked at the aftermath, and they found little pellets. Those come from anti-personnel mines, and only from anti-personnel mines, and they were still laying on the floor of the bus, and the size, little square holes in the tin where they went through. And there happened to be a security camera. It was pretty far off, but the security camera, you could see the explosion, and you could slow it down. There's never any rocket going in. They're lying about all this stuff. And you don't have the resources or the knowledge to check this stuff out. If you don't, well, take what comes from your government with a grain of salt. You should be careful about sending people off to kill folks, because you can be tricked into doing it. And, I think there'll be some accountability for that. Anyway, that's enough for that. I'm going to put some links down here that are good resources that you can look at, and take care. Uncle Buildy signing out.